Now we are going to see practical 2. Identify the pins and features of PIC microcontroller. The PIC microcontroller has developed in the year 1993 by Microchip Technology. The term PIC stands for Peripheral Interference Controller. Initially, it is developed for supporting PDP computer to control its periphery device and therefore named as a peripheral interface device. And these microcontrollers are very fast and easy to execute a program compared with other microcontrollers. Architecture is based on hardware architecture. PIC microcontrollers are very popular due to their ease of programming, wide ability, easy to interference with other periphery, and low cost, large user base, and serial programming capability. Reprogramming with flash, etc. And the PIC microcontroller nomenclature. Example of PIC 165877A PIC Personal Peripheral Interface Controller. 16 Series of PIC means series of PIC microcontroller. F means flash memory, and 877 is the serial number, and A is the advanced version of PIC F16877. And what are the features of PIC microcontroller? It has a reduced instruction set computer architecture. It has ROM, read-only memory of size 2 megabytes, and it is has on-chip program ROM in the form of flash memory, and it has ROM between 256 bytes to 4096 bytes, and it has data EEPROM, electrical, erasable, programmable, read-only memory. It includes timers. It has analog to digital converter. It includes USART protocol for PC communication. It contains 1 to 0 port between 16 to 72 pins, and all input output port registers are bit accessible and port accessible both. And it includes SPI protocol and 12C protocol for memory communication. There is two-stage pipeline in PIC 18F4 Pi 8. These are the features of PIC microcontroller. And now we are going to see the pin diagram of PIC microcontroller. It has the 14 pins, and moving ahead we are going to see the PIC function of PIC microcontroller. The pin 1, that is the MCLR. This is the first pin. This first pin is the master clear pin of this IC. It resets the microcontroller and it is active low, meaning that it should be constantly be given a voltage of 5 volt, and if 0 volt are given, then the controller is reset. Resetting the controller will bring it back to the first line of the program that has been burned into the IC. The pin 2, RAO and ANO. RA0 and ANO. Port A consists of 6 pins from pin 2 to pin 7. All of these pins are bidirectional input output pins, and pin 2 is the first pin of this port. This pin can be used as an analog pin AN0, and it is built in analog to digital converter. The pin RA1 and AN1. This can be an analog input 1, and RA2 AN2 VRF is the pin 4. It can act as the analog input 2 or negative analog reference voltage. And pin 5, that is RA3 and AN3 VRF, it can be act as a analog input 3 or it can act as a analog positive reference voltage. Pin 6, that is RAO, to timer 0. This pin can act as a clock input pin. This type of output is open drain. And ARF SSAN 4, this can be analog input 4, and this is a synchronous serial port in the controller also, and the pin can be used as a slave select for that port. And pin 8, that is REO, port E stands for from pin 8 to pin 10, and this is also a bidirectional input output port, and it can be analog input 5 for parallel slave port, and it can act as a read control. Main function is that it can act as a read control pin, which will be active low. And RE1, it can be analog input 6 and for a parallel slave. And pin 8, that is port E, starts from pin 8 to pin 10, and this is a bidirectional input output port and can be analog input for parallel slave port. It can be act as a real read control pin, which will be an active low. And RE1, it is an analog input 6 and the parallel slave, it can be act as a write control. write control. The pin VDD, these two pins, matlab, pin 11 and 32, these two pins are positive supply for input, output, and logic pins. And pin 12 and 31, this is the VSS, means the pins are ground reference for input, output, and logic pins. They should be connected to zero potential. And the pin 13 oscillator 1, this is the oscillator into or the external clock input pin, and this is the oscillator output pin. The pin 14 is the oscillator output pin, and pin 15 is the port C, consists of 8 pins. It is the bidirectional input port of the pin. And the pin 15 is the first. It can be a clock input of timer 1 or oscillator output of timer 2. RCM1, this can be oscillator input of timer 1 or the capture 2 input. And RC2 is the CC. It can be the capture 1 input, compare 1 output. Pin 18, it can be the output for SP1I or IC2 modes. Pin 23 is the RC4, and it can be SPN data and pin. And pin RC5, it can be a data out of SPI in the SPI mode. And RC6, it can be synchronous clock or USART, a synchronous transmit pin. And RC7, it can be a synchronous data pin or the USART receive pin. And the pin 19, 20, 21, 22, 27, 28, 29, 30, all of this pin belong to port T, which is again a bidirectional input and output port. When all the microprocessor bus is to be interfaced, it can be act as a parallel slave port. And pin 33 and 40 is the port B. All these pin belong to port B, out of which RBO can be used as external interrupt pin, and RB6 and RB7 can be used as in circuit debugger pins. And this is the PIC development board. PIC development board. It has EEPROM and ROM, and with the USRT. This is the LED. This is the power supply. This is the USB program for USB program. It is the 4 to 4